Wear headphones, turn off light. Alright. All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet. A flashlight. Get my mouse off of there. Do a quick announce here too. Oop. La 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 la. Hit the insert link button. Boom. Cool. Alright. That house, where was I? Oh, how else if I click on the game on it? Alright, now we're good. Body. There's a body. Lying on the floor. Who was it? Desk had a computer and some papers on it, and a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but did I open the drawer? Of course you did. Receipts, pens, and a blurry photo. It looked like a store of some kind. Why this looks so familiar? I really shouldn't have been going through this stuff, getting my fingerprints everywhere. Blood on the wall. It smelled fresh and was sickening. I realized there was blood on my shoes and pants. Oh man, I had to get out of here. Liam, please don't destroy the couch. Thank you. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg, I wondered. All I could really recall was someone was coming home, seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs, try to find a way out. A thin gray mouse was stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Yeah, why not? Go, mouse, go! A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp-smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? I found a picture of a couple. It looked like it had been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes, sir. It depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Interesting. I've heard this is kind of predictable too in the way it develops, but we'll see. The bookshelf was full of books on local history and hunting. Seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area. There were scribbles of all kinds on random scraps of paper and notes about some kind of water tower. Did you mean the one by the old train yard? The hell was that? An old dining table covered in dirty dishes for 2 people. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. The smell was turning my stomach. Black and white photo. It looked like the man upstairs and his wife, I guessed. There was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Yeah. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. Pass up no clues. It looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. Front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to a sheen. I wonder if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning, or him. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. It seemed odd that the tray had been left there, considering how clean the rest of the bathroom was. Yeah, forgive me if I blitz through these first parts, but like I said, I played them earlier. I don't like that. The door was taped up and seemed to be locked. By the smell, I guess it led to the kitchen. I gave the door a hard shove, and to my surprise, it cracked open. What was in here that you would want to keep in here? There were sheets of paper all over the kitchen table. It looked like a series of names were written down, but they were too smudged to read. I could only make out a few of the notes. Key card. So, yeah, key card. I probably don't even need to write this down. Ocker. Last one, I promise. Didn't make much sense at the time. Got a lot of papers here. Okay, this was the door that worked because I clicked the thingy before. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I had found a way out. I must have moved it, right? Yes. I heaved the box forward, and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes. I looked again at the photo I found in the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Footprints in the dirt. Looked like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. It was an old map of the town. Places all over were marked. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. The guy upstairs must have done this, but what was his interest in the water tower? Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait, there were photos. Photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. Work table. Here's where the list was. And a handgun. I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? Of course I did. I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old faded paper covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out and illegible notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I can only make out a few letters. This is what I wanted to take notes on. 4. Two, 3, 4, E. Might not even be all names. They might be places. They might not all be proper nouns. None of it made any sense to me. Okay. There looked to be bones half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. The faded clothes that stuck up amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like the clothes that woman was wearing in the photo I found. Was this the man's wife? I don't know, man. That's a little creepy. Creepy crabby. Some kind of homemade rack slung together with poorly cut wooden rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. Labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. Maybe for melting the body. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. Goo. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing there? Woo. F off, bats. So, random vertical shaft. I remember noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. So I've got a broken leg or something. Loo. There's a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yeah. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. That's not a body buried in the wall or anything, and weren't creepy whispers. Rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes. Okay, so there's no way to go back anyway. Oh, yeah, there is. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. Bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out, danger due to cave in. So it's like why would there be a sign here for other people if it was just one guy's place? I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of these awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least, I thought, I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. Ooh, what's this? An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe somebody crawled through there? But it was so high up that it must have been a sore landing. The kind of sore landing that might have messed up my leg! I don't know if that's the truth yet. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. But no poop. Ah, there was similar dirt on my own shoes. Always double tap everything. Leg ache just thinking about it. Okay. Could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? Okay, these were all valves, although I don't want to pick up the knife. A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? Of course. I slipped the knife in my boot since I had the gun in my pocket. Did I really need all this? There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Alright, what was upstairs here? Because I remember the rooms were all valves. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in most of the bags. What looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? Of course. Wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyway. Exposition, it's everywhere. I wonder how much of my regular viewership is without power right now because of Sandy. Ominous noise. Alright, so what is this then? Door's locked. There was a musty smell from inside. Yeah, why are you making me double tap? I wasn't sure, but I thought there was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. Through the dust I could see handprints from previous use, probably from whoever worked in those sewers. Thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. Looked like I turned off the water flow in this valve. Thought I could turn this water... Yeah, same thing. Water valve. Always double tap. Okay, so the water flow is all off. Still locked. It's a little buggy here and there, but it's nothing game breaking. Looks like the water drained out of that grate in the wall. I can't see anything else there. Okay. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? Faded paper was yellow and dusty, but there it had obviously been wiped off recently. Door was locked. I could see a faint light within. Probably get keys at some point. There's got to be a way to investigate all this crap. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. Maybe the VHS tape I found could be useful. I found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a keyring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? Yes. I thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. Okay, so there's the faint light room, and then there's the stinky room. Let's make sure there's nothing else up here. Okay, there's another room. I don't want to go forward without backtracking first. No, up the ladder, out the door. Pay attention. Alright. Stinky room. Tried a bunch of the keys and the keyring I had found that sewer worker, and one of them seemed to fit. Okay. A collection of stale liquor bottles covered the floor. The wall was littered with dozens of old faded papers. Whoever did this was obsessed with some local murders. According to some of the clippings, bodies had been found in ravines, in the forest, and in one case, tucked in the back of an abandoned truck. I couldn't be sure, but I thought some of these same articles had also been pasted up back in those tunnels. Really. Faded receipt was half trampled on the floor. It was from the local train station. It was for 2 tickets. I didn't know what use it could be, but did I keep the receipt? Yes. Neatly, I folded the soiled receipt and slipped it into my front pocket. Why do I get the feeling that like some of this is going to incriminate me when they find me and I get out of here? What the oh. Busted steam pipe. That kinda got me. Alright, faint light room. The shelf full of security tapes was strictly organized, though covered in dust. Looked like the tape I found was the one that was missing from the shelf. Wondered what was on the tape and why it was thrown out. There's a dusty VCR on the security desk. I wonder what was on that VHS tape I found. Did I play the tape? Of course. Jesus, the video showed a man right there in the sewers being attacked. The tape looked fuzzy and stretched like somebody had tampered with it. It looked like there could have been two men. I couldn't stand to watch that video again. Couldn't stand to watch that video again. Okay, nothing else to do here. Great. Moving on. This must have been the other end of that ventilation shaft. Whoever easily could have gotten past that flooded room with this. Clever, but why go through all the trouble? My sore leg and the extra weight I was carrying made climbing the ladder difficult. Would I need that gun or not knife before the end? The thought of that videotape still gave me chills. Who was it that didn't want to be seen? It's the same person who hid all those newspaper clippings away in that locked room. Suddenly, the awful smell of that sewer gave way to the dank scent of pine trees. Welcome to the jungle! We got bugs and trees! Creepy night eyes, yay. There's a ladder. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? Yeah. I popped the latch and brought the ladder down. Because they marked the water tower. Clearly something's going on up here. A patch of smeared dirt and grass. There was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Take it? I slid the filthy wallet into my back pocket. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gun permit. In fact, it didn't contain any cards or ID of any kind. I thought I should recover my credit card and driver's license at least. Did I put this up here, or was it somebody else carrying it? From the railing I could see over the woods and down into the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through here before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. That side's broken. Interesting. Oh wait, did something light up here? No. Just my imagination. Rusty door was locked tight with an old padlock. Faded sign on the door warned about some kind of train yard. Must have referred to the town's only train station. Didn't look like I'd be able to get through there at all. The rusty door was locked. Why you make me double tap? So many loud gates. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I had seen. Whoever's poking around these tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here, the sign pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. Trampled into the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some kind. I brushed it off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. Wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take back my credit card? Yes. I pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license too. Through the fence I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. Wonder if I could find my way around. Just want to make sure to miss anything out here. Okay, that takes me to the side of the rocks. To like a park here. A dry old picnic table sat lonely amongst the trees. It had carvings and marks from years of previous campers, so I tried to read some of the names and the marks. I idly thumbed the knife I'd found from my pocket. If I wanted to, I could have carved something on that table. Did I? With a few crude strokes, I etched a simple design into the wood. R plus H. I felt like a teenager defacing the table. Read some of the other names and notes on the table's surface. Rytron, Kumar, Uncle Phil, Henry. Okay, so they don't... Daniel, David, Jenny. Seems like the table had seen a lot of use over the years. I'm trying to see if any of these match the names that I'm looking at here. Nope. The path ended in a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if it was safe to cross like this. No. I want to check it out. In that darkness, it didn't seem wise to try. Maybe there was another option. Yeah, I want to check that other gap in the bushes. There's a fire pit there. It was still a bit warm. A few embers still burned at the bottom. Oh, that bodes well. Was someone else out in those woods? Why did they abandon their campsite? 2 folding camping chairs were on the ground, and one was knocked over. There were a couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. The cheap dome tent slept 2 people. I shone my flashlight inside and I could see some bedrolls, 2 backpacks, and a cooler. Felt like if I kept rooting through the campsite, someone would walk in on me. Yeah, can I get away then? Thanks. Here, left this place in a hurry, but why? I came through the middle one. We'll go left first. Something's rustling. There's some personal effects shoved back into the rock. Wait, there's a notebook there too. Did I read it? Yeah. It said the cheap dollar store notebook was page after one page of names and lists. None of it made much sense. Newest page contained several names. Heather. Oh, these are the names that were crossed out before. Because the letters match up perfectly. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly Rose, Rachel. Rachel? Her name was the last one on the list. It had a mark beside it in blue ink. Names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out. These marks looked older and more faded. That's not good. I went left, correct? Yeah. Going right. Oh, this was the outbuilding, okay. The grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. There wasn't much in the way of clean water there. The sink did work. There was a damp smelling plank leaning against the stall door. I might have been able to cross the river with it. Did I take it? Yeah. Managed to carry the plank under my arm so it didn't get in the way. And by under my arm, I mean it turned invisible. Because game physics. Where does this go? The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. I'd finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I'd never wanted to return there. But I want to return there because I want to cross that river and see what's over there. So, okay. And then the center one takes me back. And then from here, it's the outbuilding. Does it take me back or to the river? That's the river, okay. Plank I found was long enough to form a crude bridge, but I wasn't sure if it would hold. Did I use it? Yeah. Two bodies, two young women, were half dug in a hasty shallow grave between the trees. The younger looking one was still face up, her dead eyes gleaming against my flashlight. They deserve better than that. Did I clean up the gravesite? Yeah. Tried to cover them up a bit more, and I closed the younger woman's eyes. Fashioned a crude marker. Wasn't sure why, but I felt I had to do something. Because I'm a good person. This is all going to come back and bite me in the ass. Girls weren't carrying ID, so I couldn't determine their names. I only hoped that whoever had done this had done it quickly. Wondered now if they had a phone or something at their campsite. Maybe I could call for help. Yes. I guess I get to keep the plank. Yay! So now I want to see if you can rifle more through their campsite. Oh, that was the personal effects with the list. Said that the tent was suffocating. Livia? Daphne? By the looks of it, the fire died out gradually. Nothing new in the outbuilding. Okay. Now we're out of the woods. Through the dense trees, I could finally start to see some light. I must have been at the edge of the forest, though I wasn't sure where the path ahead of me led. I could almost feel the cryptic notebook in my pocket as I tried to think about what it could mean. And where were the campers who'd abandoned their site? Would I meet them too? Though the path ahead of me was less dense, I still felt guarded and wary. Who knew what was ahead? I think I met them already. I think I just did that out of order so I didn't realize it. Oh, no way. That's not good. So I stepped through the gate. I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. Plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. They probably have emergency generators stocked to bring in, though. So, damn. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. I don't like faint rustling. I don't like things that are behind me. I found the body of a security guard, just doing his job, no doubt. His face was covered with blood with some kind of head wound. I wondered, was this flashlight his? Saw the blunt wound on the guard's head and looked again at the flashlight I was carrying. Oh God. Dug in the ground was a cracked old watch. First my wallet and now this. Did I retrieve my watch? Yeah. Watch was useless, but I put it on my wrist anyway. Getting weird. Why is all my stuff with all these dead people? Oh, they had to evacuate? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it'd be easier to bring in generators or get people out. Locker. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. It's one of the things on the list. Old work clothes have been picked through, and a few photos and notes have been ripped off the door and spread around. There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, sneaking off to other parts of the factory. Metal was starting to wear. Cobwebs were collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. Alright, good night, Gmod. Hello. This is home, which is very hurricane-less, but it is kind of creepy. The door was locked shut, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign that was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, closed for repairs." Yeah, okay, fine. That's what the keycard thing was for. So you got key card, locker, last one, I promise. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. Board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed more positive despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. Same thing. Wow. A power panel looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Yes. Power panel still wasn't working. Should I switch it again? Panel seemed to be working again. That probably put power down to the thing. Open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out, and the face was unrecognizable. Crazy. Okay. Shut tight. There was a rusty-looking card slot on the side. So I gotta get a key card. Our old break table. A layer of dust and grime only made seeing this sting more. Looked like some beer bottles had been used on the table recently. I wonder, was that guard using this as a break room of his own? Door had been hastily boarded up. Okay, yeah, we get it. I don't like these doors. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked here. Another panel that I hoped would help me get the power back on. Push the switch? Yes. Great, this one was working. A utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Yes. So I took the hammer. I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Oh, really? Locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? Yes. Slip the key card into my pocket. Another panel that I hoped would help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yes. Power panel still wasn't working. Should I switch it again? Another panel that I hoped would get me, whatever. Yes. Power panel still wasn't working. Switched again. Okay. I think that's all the, power switches. Go downstairs and check here. No, that one is still not working. Because I really don't want to mess with the boarded door until I can get the electric locks going. Yay! Ominous power noises. Key card I found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Use the key card? Yes. I don't want to take the hatch yet. If that is a hatch. I guess we'll go for the boarded door. Because block doors have been more evidence than, use the hammer. The old wooden boards came apart easily. Tried to remove the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. Why would you get rid of that? This was my locker, there in the factory. Stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken that picture home when the factory closed. There's a mess of empty booze bottles. I wondered if that man in the house had something to do with this. He sure had a lot of alcohol at his place. Oh, really? Alright, let me check the under construction door. Door open now that the power is back on. Another smudge of dirt similar to the one I found in those sewers was on the floor. Didn't look like the footprints were mine, but they were probably too faint to tell. Okay. Don't do that. Large pile of building materials and debris blocked the way. Factory floor never did get the repairs it needed. We closed too soon for that to happen. Okay, so... rusted old regulator of some kind sat dusty and unused against the wall. Within dust there were deep scratches, like from some kind of tool or blade. Planks, tools, and broken up parts blocked any further passage. Wait, was there another bit there? Factory was like a tomb now. It never got repaired and we never came back. Okay. That's seriously it. Just exposition. Big old creepy room, a creepy exposition. Does he have anything to say about the power box? Power box looked like it was running again. Alright, I guess it's time to try what's behind that last mag card door. Was it this floor? I think so. There was some kind of ventilation hatch there. Looked like I could jump to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? Yeah. Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. There's a crumpled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily and was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Yeah. Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked like to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was, need to. Just don't. Drinking. Need. Norman. Who was Norman writing to? My foot hit the wet ground as I exited the factory and I almost slipped in the muck. It sent a jolt up my leg and the pain made my eyes water. In the dim light, I could see a darkened path before me. I didn't recognize it, but I hoped it led somewhere closer to town. I wanted to get away from that dead guard. Maybe whoever killed him was still around. Just imagining that made my back tingle like someone was standing right behind me. Who'd gone through those lockers? What was anybody at all doing in the old plant? Maybe, I thought, Norman would have an idea. His store wasn't far down the main road. I'd traveled long enough by myself. It was time I found some help. Killer on the loose. Disco, disco. And freeze. Pickup had smashed into the guardrail and stood silent. Was this the truck that those newspaper clippings mentioned? Was there really a body found here? Welcome to Route 62. It is the route that sucks. This is more of like an interactive story than a freaking game. I'm gonna be straight about that right now. It's kind of bugging me. Like there doesn't seem to be any feeling that what I'm doing is impacting things. It's just telling me more. I mean, it's cool that it's like letting me conjecture over everything that I'm gathering, but from what I can tell, either Norman's probably the killer or knew him, or I'm the killer and Norman was trying to get me off a drinking problem. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food and slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? Of course. I cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card, and now this. I tucked the card in my wallet next to my credit card. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. He does kind of have a limp when he walks. There we go. Now it's Sandy the game. What's up, Boner? I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of a television. Entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. Looked like I couldn't just pop it open. I needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. That's not good. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on a rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing here? That is really weird. A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. That's not good. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others here. The handgun was Norman's. What the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? Yeah. I carefully pushed the piece back in place and felt a great burden lifted. Now I get shot because I got rid of my gun. Where's Rachel? What's this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wonder where it led. Did I pull the chain? Gave the chain a single tug and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. The TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. Jesus, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. Looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Close his eyes? Yes. Close his eyelids down, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace or if I just couldn't stand to think anymore about what was going on. Hope to hell Rachel had nothing to do with that mess. Yeah, but can I find a key for the front door yet? Never been to Norman's place before. At least I didn't remember ever doing so. Kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yeah. Found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Picking locks. But why would Norman have a hairpin? Let's check the attic. Then we'll go check the door. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Creepy attic. Now we're gonna find Willie Nelson. Juice. Tucked against the wall were an old sleeping bag and a portable camping stove. The sleeping bag smelled earthy. It had been used recently. Norman, were you in those woods? The camping stove looked newer and had a relatively fresh fuel canister locked in place. That didn't seem too safe. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? I opened up the old cardboard box and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There were more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes, photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What were you doing here with Norman? Killing him, probably? Camping stove looked newer. Okay, yeah. Same thing. I guess it's programmed to display 2 pages, which is why it doubles it. I just couldn't believe it. My head ached with everything that was running through it. Like some of these things they don't expect you to double tap on. Can't mess with the light. Alright, well I've got a hairpin. I guess we're going to pick the lock on the door. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. But I got the door open. General store was small, but it was clean. Had the usual things. Postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. Oh, really? The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. I wondered if someone had robbed the place before killing Norman upstairs. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. What was the matter, Norman? Cheated on your hydro bills, too? There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. Of all the postcards, that one seemed to be the most popular. There were only a few left. Well, I went up there earlier. I don't think I can get back now. It had been weeks since I'd last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Think of him slumped against that chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of that gun. It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store. But why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled the dusty old box that closed Norman's attic. I felt like I discovered more questions, no answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. Oddly enough, it's been an hour. So there's 2 gates, 3 gates, 4 gates, and nothing there. Okay, let's go all the way to the first one. I just want to make sure there wasn't on any of the street. Seeing how this game seems to be laid out pretty damn sequentially. Door number 1 was locked. This wasn't the right gate. Gotcha. Watch it be the last one. Gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Because, you know, I always leave my gate unlocked at night. It only led me back. I had to find my house. Okay, so I can't go back. Gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Oh, what's in the mailbox? Neighborhood's local post box. Letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? Yes. The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Letter read, Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband and your friend. I need some time to sort this out away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman. So don't you think you can hold that against me? I'm going to tell him and get past this. Maybe we can work it out. I'm not sure I even want to, but he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Great! Rachel was cheating on me. And now she's dead. But she was also on, like, the murder list or something. Or what I suspect was the murder list. So that's bothersome. I entered her backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. Never did fix this gate. It was stuck. Needed to press on. There was no turning back at that point. Okay, yeah, I want to get out of there. Thank you. Held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. She's a monster! House was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. Great. The table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. Okay, nothing new. Got floors and doors and stuff on the floor. Small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? Yes. Ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. The hell? Front door was locked from inside. Couldn't go out though. I need to see if Rachel was here. How handy. Okay, so I've apparently been gone for a long time. Door to the basement. It was locked. Where did I put the damn key? Yeah, okay. Again, I'm not sure why some of these are doubling up, but... Door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. But I used the hairpin already. So I'd probably find the key somewhere. An old photo of Rachel and me stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? Yes. Replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I'd got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? Bum bum bum. Our television. I'd purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but by then it was too late. Rachel was pretty angry about that, I realized. I just bought a TV, that. Our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. Door number left. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I look more closely, it looks that man in the house had some of the same books as I did. One book in particular seemed a bit odd. I remembered owning it, but not that edition. My wife's, Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was in it. Did I open it? Yeah. Inside Rachel's suitcase was a few days' worth of clothes, some personal effects, and a train ticket. As I stared at the ticket, I could feel myself flushed with anger and resentment. Date and time matched the receipt I had found. Oh, really? Rachel, why? Were you really going to run away with Norman? Was I really such a monster? That's a powerful word, monster. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. That old house was charming for sure, but it wasn't always easy. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of these wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. It seemed impractical at times, but it was part of what made that house home. So much title getting thrown around. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. My laptop had been left on, and I only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? Yes. Pocketed the key. Laptop was warm. It had been running for a while. But, like, yeah, I went to the top of the water tower. I found something there. And there was the dirt that matched my shoes. Okay, that's not the key I need then. I'm thinking basement then. Unlock the basement door. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. I couldn't even remember our last Christmas. Garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Take the key? Yeah. Took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. Probably the door I fiddled with earlier. There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. We had way too much junk. Hoarders. I'd put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. Might have been able to break through if I found something heavy enough. In the room that's locked upstairs. This is just like a find and it's freaking finders keepers. No, this was the kitchen. Okay. Next floor. Wow, I am beat. Grimy key I'd found in the basement unlocked the door. Okay. Looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take the crowbar? Yeah, you did. Lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated it. Wait. Yeah, that was not word English. And then basement. And then crowbar. Crowbar I found would have been strong enough to burst through the cheap wall. Break through the wall with the crowbar? Yeah. With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. Smashed a hole large enough to step through. In one swing? As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down here? Was she okay? Old fake Christmas tree, I guess. Why would I have two of them, though? Don't look. Don't look at what? Filthy looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile to see what lay within. But I knew what I had to. I'd come this far. For all this searching, after all I'd seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? Nothing to see here. Oh, my eyes open again. The hell? Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books and find some place to go. It was my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again, or maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? Yeah. I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. What does that mean? Did I flash back to the past or something? This was that old photo of that other man and his wife, I assumed. I found in that house. I recalled those faded remains I had found deep underneath his house. What had he done there? Well, what did I think? Was that man involved in this whole mess somehow? Definitely. Those tunnels, those odd tools in his house, remains of his wife. He wasn't innocent, that's for sure. Within the few broken pieces that remained of the mirror, I could see my face had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look again. It was like I didn't actually expect in reflection. I felt empty and drained. Reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. I still loved the old-time charm of that claw-footed bathtub, though it seemed a cold comfort then. Rachel loved this part of the house. Quiet in that room unnerved me terribly. Do I have to backtrack through the whole thing now? Well, I'll keep going if I have to. It was the key card I found in the factory, the one that allowed me to slip through the door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's. If that was true, what was he doing back at the plant? I think Norman was going back to the factory. Must have been him. He must have been using the old locker room. Laptop had finally run out of power. How long had it been left on running? I'm probably gonna get Kitty attacked in a minute. She's hanging out by the couch, getting cleaned. This is the bathroom, right? Yeah. From now on, I'd have no one to get angry with me for stupid things like buying this TV. Ooh, safe. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. Use the digital passcode lock. Did I try to open it? Yes. 8-digit code. I don't have 8-digit codes from anywhere. Oh. It's not going to let me change the code. Can I like use the enter key or something? Start? That wasn't it. Okay, you have to hit enter on the keyboard for some reason. Couldn't remember. Okay, so you have to use, at least through the notebook I had taken from the forest, in it were the names that had been written down. Heather. If it's 8 names, that might be the passcode. It is 8 names. Hoacidhrr. Were those victims the same person who killed Rachel? I wonder what happened to the other names on that list. Or one scratched out on the desk in those wet tunnels. Because I don't remember seeing a number anywhere. Alright, let's try this. No. Alright, Alright, what are the freaking letters in the alphabet on this? B, C, D, H. Let's try that. Oh. Let me try lowercase. Okay. That'd be 8. 1, 3, 9, 8. So 4. Okay. K is 11. M is 13. Oh no, that doesn't work at all anyway because that's 15 and rows. Okay. So there's got to be somewhere else where this code is. That's probably the last mystery. Seems like I'd seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. No. Mail still sat there, heaped on the floor. How long had Rachel been lying in the basement? There would be no more dinners here, no more chit-chat over breakfast. At least not for us. I couldn't recall when I last ate, but I wasn't hungry in the least. Must have locked the door. There was no reason to return to the backyard anyway. Yeah, okay, we get it. Try and think here. Huh, okay. It might have been a special edition only thing, the safe code. So, for completion's sake, I'm gonna sneak. Alright, that is a really weird code. But yeah, apparently it was a pre-order only thing. So, yeah. Let me just pause it so I have it here. Doo -doo 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 -doo. It's really well hidden. I'll give him credit for that. Apparently, if you got the pre-order, there were a bunch of files, and the file names are the code. So there you go. Pulled open the small safe door and peered inside. There's a photo of Rachel and I when we first moved to town. In it, we were smiling outside the front of the house, which looked like a real mess. We looked happy, though. Odd, I couldn't remember who took that photo. Inside the safe was also an envelope. In front of it read, "Do not open until I tell you." I guess this was as good time as any to see what was inside. Did I open the envelope and read what was inside? Yes. Yeah, if you get the if you got the special edition of this, and if you win the one for the bundle, the letter is actually included in the bundle, which is kind of awesome. Or not the bundle, like the packaging. Letter read, "I know this whole event has probably been pretty difficult. You can't imagine how hard it's been for me too. Well, maybe you can. This isn't meant to be an excuse, but well, I hope you can better understand why I've done what I've done. Moving to this town seemed like such a dream, a quiet place to get established, to live out our lives, and to be together. But you know as well as I do that things quickly changed. Your drinking was one thing, but you grew more distant as you retreated into that world of yours. Well, it was clear you didn't need me much. In fact, maybe you never needed me at all, but it took all this to make you realize. In the end, though, you may never forgive me for this. You may never forgive yourself, but this is probably for the best. You'll be healthier for this. I'm just sorry it had to happen this way, Rachel." Okay. But, so did she kill those other people, or what the hell? It was the knife I had found in the sewers. I left it here because I didn't want it near me anymore. Was all this my fault? Was I responsible for Rachel's death? If I was guilty, I could take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? I took the knife and kept it firmly in my hand. I couldn't go back into that room again. Okay, yeah, so she's dead. That was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a moment longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? I would say so. So I had arrived in town. Things had been difficult. Working in the plant, though, had been good for me. Kept me aligned, gave me something to do, helped me to get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. Drinking was probably just a way to deal with that. It was almost as if I was trying to beat my brain at its own game. Things stopped making sense at some time after that. My memories of what happened are still in flux. But I know Rachel had tried. I know she had tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night had unearthed terrible truths, but I knew it was a final act of a long-standing horror I'd been living. Waking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. It was obvious to me that the man I had found in that house had something to do with all this. Could he have killed Rachel? It started to seem that there were too many things I had seen to think otherwise. It was clear, at least, that Norman had been going back to the old plant. Maybe he was the one who boarded up that locker room, who'd been drinking up there in that secret hiding place. So had he killed the guard then? He must have. Maybe he'd found out, but the guard had caught him on patrol. Jesus, Norman, why? I had to catch my breath, take it all in. Up until the factory, things had only gotten worse. But then I had seen something even I wouldn't have expected when I went up to Norman's store. That's when my perspective on all this really started to change. Norman was dead, but I had no idea what happened to him. Finding Rachel's things at his store, though, had been the ultimate shock. I would get no answers now, but that didn't stop my head from reeling with questions. As painful as all that was, oh God, I couldn't bear to think about it again. After all I had done and seen, finally coming home was supposed to be the end of this entire ordeal. God help me, though. It was only the beginning. As I swung open the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. Just the thought of her again, cold and inert, shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet, and I couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, rather that I should run. Is that it? I want to know if there's like different endings. But we seem to have finished home. What's up, kitty cat? Don't step on that. What? I'm watching credits. Come here. Home is dedicated to my wife, Nancy. Watch your back. Share your story at homehorror.com/whathappened. Yeah, there's gotta be different paths. There's gotta be. Huh. Well, I'm gonna have to play this again. Not right now, but in the future. Oh, okay. So you can go to this site and like fill in the blanks as to what didn't get answered. So you can decide. You can decide what you think, who killed who and whatnot. Wow, there's a lot of interpretations here. This is really cool. I might add some there. Uh, wow. That's actually like the perfect level of narrative. It leaves a pile of stuff open to the imagination, but still tells a pretty solid story. That's awesome. This was good stuff. Definitely worth the price. And I bought it back before it was even in the bundle, so yeah. Wow. Wow. Definitely recommend this one. And again, since there's all those choices, you can get a slightly different playthrough regardless. So again, I might revisit this in the future.